What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with that quick analysis. We're gonna talk about that instant analysis today. The Los Angeles Lakers will start off 0-2 by losing in a beatdown. The score doesn't look like it, but if you watch the game like I did, you would obviously see that the Suns are a better team and the Lakers are a mess. This team looks absolutely terrible. Their defense is nowhere near where it needs to be, and I think that's going to be the huge problem with this team. They lost a lot of their defensive weapons and a lot of their identity throughout the years since they won the championships, which is the last two seasons, and now they have went with a lot of skill set players, a lot of good players that's good at, a lot of players that's good at one thing and that's it. Most of these guys are known as defenders, never was defenders or once was great defenders and are not currently great defenders right now. We knew when they brought in Russell Westbrook that he will have his own set of problems. He had a lot of turnovers, had 5 fouls, wasn't efficient from the field, was 3 of 8 from the free throw line, was aggressive looking for a shot, but when you're not making them, plus, on top of that, you're turning the ball over and just causing unnecessary chaos. It really does take a toll on a team that's already struggling. It doesn't help. It just helps you struggle more because he's not really impacting the game positively, which is something that has been a huge problem with Russell Westbrook. And he is a guy that I felt like they was better off getting to Kyle Lowry because he can at least defend, which he can't. He can hit an open three, make plays while also being able to rebound and impact the game positively as a guy that just fits. Russell Westbrook is a guy that you have to play with, play around, and they don't have the pieces because they don't have enough shooting and they have other guys that are better than him that don't shoot the ball well either. LeBron James looked it like LeBron a little bit, but just a worse version. The jump shot was going, the finishing still was a little decreased over the years, and it still doesn't look as dominant, and he's not really relying on getting to the basket and finishing. He was relying more on pull-up jumpers, spin around jumpers, and three-point shots. His three-point shot looks decent. That's something that he's been improving out over the season, but he still don't look like a great or elite three-point shooter. But his mid-range looks a lot more improved, and I think that that's something that he's really been working on. When you have the leaping ability and you have the size that LeBron has, it's easy to get to those spots. You just have to make them. And he's showing that he can make jump shots and he can do it even off the dribble, even in catch and shoot situations, which is a drastic improvement for where he was coming into the league to where he has evolved into now. As his athleticism continues to decline, he has really found other ways to impact the game while still being a good assist, rebounder, and solid defender, which I didn't see today. He's still showing that his shooting has grown. Anthony Davis just looked disengaged. Defensively, he put minimum effort, didn't really care, didn't really try enough, really didn't go all in like he usually do from an AD game. Offensively, he seemed like he didn't know what he really wanted to do. One minute he wanted to be in the paint, one minute he wanted to be in the perimeter, and sometimes he couldn't even get to his spots in the post or even get to the paint, and he just didn't look dominant at all. That was one of my problems with picking the Lakers to beat the Suns, and why I picked the Suns is just because AD can be dominant, but he just doesn't do it consistently, and he didn't do it tonight. 22 points, not great from the rebounds either, not great defensively. And if your leaders, LeBron is not going to defend well, Russell Westbrook is not going to defend well, and Anthony Davis, their best defender, is not going to do it either, you're in for a blowout. You're in for a tough night, especially when those guys isn't great offensively tonight either. You're not going to win much game. These are the three highest paid players. These are the three guys that have been All NBA MVP caliber players, and they didn't play dominant or well at all together tonight, and that usually will result in a blowout or a loss, and that's what happened tonight. Their role players didn't really have the greatest game again. Like I said, LeBron and AD is not going to be elite and dominant. They're not going to win most games, and tonight they wasn't, and neither was Westbrook again. And when that happens, you're going to lose games like this, especially against great competition. And the Suns just look smarter, faster, better. Mikal Bridges did a great job defensively, staying up in the guys, reaching, getting steals, playing in the passing lane, even guarding the post. He was solid. DeAndre Ayton was respectable in the paint, had some good finishes around the rim, really played his role, didn't really try to do too much outside of just making the easy decisions and easy finishes. Cameron Payne gave them some effort and some boost off the bench, really gave them some probing and some finishing and can hit some shots. Devin Booker didn't have the greatest game, but he was able to score enough. He had some challenges, he had some difficulties, but he eventually figured it out enough. Chris Paul, congratulations on making it to 20,000 points. I'm proud of you, not known as a scorer, but was able to score 20 points per game several times in his career, but was able to have that longevity still to this day, being able to be a decent to solid, respectable scorer, especially in the mid range and occasional threes. And he was able to get to 10,000 assists too, which is something that we knew him from, being a decision maker, being a playmaker, being a guy that can tear apart your defense. But his scoring is very choice selected. He gets to his spots. He knows when to score. He knows how to score and doesn't really force it or try to do too much outside of that. And he was able to score 20,000 points with that mentality while also getting 10,000 assists. That's a huge accomplishment, something that nobody has ever done. And he was able to accomplish it right now. And he's still got a couple more years to go at this point if he decides to. And that just shows you how good of a player Chris Paul has been. But he was basically dominant this game, picking apart the defense, forcing them to switch, picking them apart in the pick and roll, forcing Aiden to get easy opportunities, getting easy opportunity to the shooters, getting easy opportunities to the cutters. I liked it how they cut. I liked it how they defended. And I liked the fact that even though they didn't make a lot of threes, they made enough of them to where if they was open, they was able to drop them. And a lot of them, they did miss some easy ones, but they was coasting this entire game. And even in the third and the fourth quarter, the game was basically over. And then it was just about finishing it with the W, and they was able to accomplish that. It was a 10-point win, but it was an ugly, ugly game. The Lakers was very frustrated. They was very angry. They was taking it out on each other. They was taking it out on the Suns, but the Suns still played their game. They still held their composure. They still got the job done and got the W, and it's good for them because they needed one, and now they have accomplished that. Now we have to see what the Lakers do next. You know, they have a lot of things that they have to figure out. I've been saying that since the preseason, and there's just another game where they had a worthy opponent, and the worthy opponent just was better, just played better, had better chemistry, understood how and what they was trying to do. The Lakers still look discombobulated. They still look confused. They still look out of sort. They don't know what they want to do defensively. They're not playing their lineups right. Their stars isn't playing up to their capabilities really, defensively and offensively. They still have things they have to work out, and they still have guys that have to get back. Trevor Ariza has to come back. Wayne Ellington has to come back. Maybe that gives them that extra 10, 15, 16 points that they've been needing. Give them some three-point shots and some switchability, and maybe that'll fix a lot of their problems. But this team has internal problems. They have fit problems. They have spacing problems, and they have the Russell Westbrook problem, and they have to figure this all out throughout the season. I thought that they'd get off to an ugly start. They had some tough competition too to start the season. They need a couple games that's easy. They need a couple of games to get their morale high by winning, and they just need to stay together. You know, panicking, getting angry, getting frustrated is not going to help you win. It's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to get you to where you need to be. They need to come together, solve these problems, watch these footages, watch what they're getting right, what they're getting wrong, what they need to do better, and how they can play well together. This is a thing that they need to conversate. This is a thing they need to work on in practice. This is a thing that they need to see and solve it. This is what makes teams come together, that our championship teams are the frustration, the failure, the struggle. Some teams get broken. Some teams work through them. Some teams figure it out, put it all together, and win the championship. This Laker team is going to have that throughout the whole season. They're a championship caliber team, talent wise. They have LeBron, they have LED, so they're going to have the expectation. But not only that, they're the Lakers. They're the Lakers. They're expected to win. They're expected to be great, and they haven't got off to that start, and that's what's going to get under their skin. But they have to figure out a way to come together. They have to figure out a way to solve these problems. And they're in the NBA. You're going against the best players in the best competition. It's not going to happen overnight. The Heat was able to get to the finals, but they got off to an ugly start with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron. They didn't fit well together. They didn't play well together. They didn't have the best role players around them, but they were still able to get to the finals at the end of the day. And a lot of people have the Lakers as the favorites to come out the West. Some people don't, just because of what we're seeing right now. But that Heat team was able to get frustrated, that was getting angry, and they was even willing to fire Eric Spoelstra. None of those things happened. None of those things ended up going through, and they was able to win titles, and they was able to get to the finals. And we'll see if this team able to conquer the evils, conquer their demons, and literally just man up, be veterans, understand the game, understand how to play the game, understand how to play together, and ultimately get back to winning basketball game. Something that they didn't do in preseason, something that they haven't done to start the season. Is easier said than done, but you have 80 games. That's a lot of games to start figuring it out. That's a lot of games to start putting things together. Like I said, the Lakers might get off to an ugly start. That's what's happening right now. But look how long they have to go. But they have to take advantage of this. They have to be smart with it. And they really have to be serious about what they are trying to be, what they are trying to do on both ends of the court. I just don't see their identity offensively. I don't see what their identity is and what they're trying to do defensively. And that's a huge problem when the season is started. That's not a problem when it's in training camp. That's not a problem when it's practice. That's not a problem in preseason. But to not know your identity on both ends of the court at all, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish throughout a 48-minute game, not even having the right matchups, not even having the right lineups, not having the right switches. It's just miscommunication, bad coaching, and just not good preparation, and just a terrible way to start the season, because all these things should have been solved and figured out already before the season has started. And now they have those problems too, and the season is already gone. Started, and now they're obviously down 0-2, and now they got to try to figure out a way to win a game, which is something that will be tough for them to do. But ultimately, they're going to have to get it done eventually. So we'll see when they win their first game. The sad part, they all over the media, they all over the people, they all over the TV because they've been nationally televised, and that just adds more pressure. That just adds more turmoil. That just adds more people talking, and that's just another way to get in your head. That's another way to get you off the same page, and that's something that they're gonna have to figure out too, because these have been two complete wipeout games, and a lot of it has to do with the entire team, not just Westbrook, not just LeBron and AD, but they all are playing a huge key factor into this terrible preseason and regular season start. And they all gonna have to eventually get on the same page if they want to become Western Conference and NBA champions. They far away from it, but Rome wasn't built in one day. That's what Dwayne Wade said. That's the mentality they have to have, and we'll see if they're able to get out of this hump and get back to winning. We'll see. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis signing out. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. See y'all later today. Enjoy the morning and the evening.